Sup everyone? Okay, so in my last video I just spoke about getting diagnosed with autism, okay? The kind of process that you tend to go through and also kind of the different reactions that people tend to give depending on their age or whether they're a parent who's getting their child assessed and so on and so forth. So, anyway, now because I'm just trying to cover the basics first, this video is going to be covering, well, essentially what causes autism. And before we get into it, I gotta mention first that if you like the content and you want to see more, follow, leave a like, comment, questions in the comments, requests in the comments for future videos, of course. What was it? Oh yeah, subscribe to the YouTube channel, repost the video because again, it helps raise awareness and I think I've said before, it helps me with my motivation. Alright, so what causes autism? Now, mostly there are more misconceptions about the causes of autism than there are actual known facts about what contributes to it, because as I've said in my previous video, I think it was, and maybe one or two videos before that even, autism is a neurological disorder, a developmental neurological disorder that is present from birth, meaning it's there prior to birth, okay? And it all has to do with how your brain functions and then how that affects essentially your communication skills, your behavior, how that presents, all sorts of issues that you might experience throughout, like the sensory issues, stimming habits, repetitive behaviors, that kind of thing. And the only thing that seems to be a common ground sort of with scientists and doctors is that they know it runs in families and they know it depends on the genetics. Okay, so, and I know there are people, I believe, that I've heard who are convinced that it doesn't run in families, it has to be caused by sort of outside situations, sort of outside influences that happen after birth, which is not the case, okay? And yes, I am living proof that it runs in families, just because, one, I'm convinced that my parents are autistic. I'm not diagnosing them, just saying that they've raised me and 3 of my younger brothers who all have autism and ADHD. A couple of my cousins, I think, have ADHD and autism as well, or one or the other. And when I look at my parents and they look at themselves, they notice some behaviors that are very similar, so maybe they should get assessed. But anyway, so yeah, it runs in families, and it comes down to your genetics and how they kind of, what's the word? I don't want to use the word collide, but how they kind of intermingle and then contribute to the development of autism, or rather how autism affects your development, I should say. I need to be more clear with my words. But the misconceptions is the problem, because when you're trying to raise awareness for something like autism or ADHD or anything really, misconceptions don't go away the more the more awareness that is raised. It's just, they become easier to disprove, I suppose, because there's still plenty of people that I've heard who believe a lot of these misconceptions. Now, some of which, when I'm referring to the causes of autism, believe things like autism only occurs in boys, yeah, or vaccines cause autism, or bad parenting causes autism, or sort of like it can be developed later on in life, say, depending on how you tend to interact when you're a kid. So like, for instance, if you are too much obsessed with like fantasy and stuff, you're too much in your own world, your own imagination, not going out as much and not socializing with other kids like in school or the playground, then that can cause autism, that kind of thing. But all those I just said, 100% not true, okay? Because yes, scientists and doctors still don't know exactly how autism developed prior to birth. They don't know exactly what processes need to be altered. They know the brain works afterwards, of course, and they, like I said, they've been able to observe that it does run in families, but they don't know exactly what causes it. But they do, and they can tell certain things that do not, and it's really important to address those misconceptions, because otherwise, well, they're going to cause problems all on their own. For instance, bad parenting, that doesn't cause autism. Okay, a lot of the time, children with autism and ADHD get kind of labelled as being naughty kids, you know, because of the way they act in school, or their behaviours are a little bit more extreme than, say, some other kids who are neurotypical, or they might overreact to some things, yeah? But that's the thing, they can't help it, yeah? It's part of who they are, and it's hard, I know sometimes it can seem unfair, like trying to expect everyone else around them to like alter the way they think and alter the way they interact just to help that one person. But that's the thing, once in you altering how you interact or think to help them, you're also helping them help themselves, if that makes any sense. It's like you are giving them the building blocks, you're giving them the shoulder to lean on, the shoulder to cry on or whatever, right? As they grow older and they go through the processes of life. And in time, they will find sort of methods or strategies or routines that will help them cope with the issues and the difficulties that they face in everyday life. So, and it's like, bad parenting then, it's like, I can't say anything about parenting, not much really, because I'm not a parent myself, but I am an older sister, and the thing is, with bad parenting, is like, that can cause all sorts of issues in a child, but it's not going to cause autism. It's not going to cause, it might cause like anxiety, or maybe they're not great at socializing or something, depending on what kind of bad parenting you're talking about. But that's not going to give them autism, because autism is a combination of a lot of things going on, not just one thing, not just one issue. And everyone with autism is different to the next person with autism, all very individual and very unique to what challenges they face. Okay, there's common ground, but they're still different. Now, as for things like TV or like being in a world of their own, all children, let's be honest, all children are in a world of their own anyway, okay? That's not causing autism, that's not, because a lot of the time, the difficulty or the unwillingness sometimes to interact or socialize with other people is already innately there in someone with autism. It's like social anxiety. I have that a lot, but I've worked on methods throughout years and years and years of my life now to try and get to the point where I can talk to people really quickly, when I can keep up small talk, when I can keep eye contact, all these little things that I couldn't do a few years ago, or especially I definitely couldn't do when I was a kid. So again, doesn't cause it. And of course, autism only occurs in boys. I didn't know that that was a misconception so recently, and I was like, really? I know that one's definitely not true because I'm a girl. And I know loads of girls who have autism. The problem is, though, that it is more recognizable in boys, but that's just because of something called masking, which I'll talk about in a later video, which girls with autism tend to be more adept at than boys are. In other words, they're better at camouflaging into society than boys are, who have autism. I think that's where it's coming from. And again, vaccines. No, vaccines do not contribute. First off, you're having vaccines after you've been born. So no, because the autism is there prior to birth, so they're not being caused after birth by vaccines. Okay, I do medical role plays and things, and that was actually something we had to talk about once, and I had to act out, and I was like, I feel kind of awkward saying this because I know it's not true. But anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk about in this video. Now, in the coming videos, I'm going to start talking about particular issues, strengths, methods of helping manage, different things, and basically I'm gonna also just try and address a lot of the things that I've experienced in my life and how they made me feel, and you can see if you relate. So if you're interested now, if you like this video, please follow, leave a like, comment, questions in the comments, requests in the comments, I keep forgetting at that point, subscribe to the YouTube channel and repost the video, please, because I really want you to, and also because, like I said, raises awareness, helps motivation. Anyway, until then, I'll see you. Have a nice day. Bye.